Hi everyone, it's Marisa Williams at Southern Technical College, and usually when I start a class I usually like to tell you a little bit about myself, so here it goes. I have my master's in writing from the Johns Hopkins University. My undergrad degree is a mix of pre-med and pre-law from the University of Toledo, so it's a degree that I created myself. I graduated a year early from high school, and I wound up graduating a year early from my undergraduate degree. So I wound up getting my Bachelor of Science at just a month or two after I turned 20 years old, actually. So sometimes life gives you a curveball you don't expect, and in my case, it happened. And at 19, I had a cliff diving accident. They told me I'd never walk again, and I'd probably never have children. I don't have children, but I can still walk, so hey, that's a good thing, right? Of course, that changed my plan because, like I said, my undergrad degree is basically in forensics. And so originally I thought, oh, I'm going to go chase serial killers. I'm going to join the Army as a lane of the FBI. And that would have been all well and good had I not been paralyzed by cliff diving. Yeah, don't go cliff diving. So obviously that changed my career path quite significantly. And I went into writing. Literally because when I was in a wheelchair, I couldn't really do a whole lot other than write. And so I wrote my first novel. And my blow-off classes for my undergrad degree was actually writing classes. So I had some pretty good instructors who got a nice portfolio of work together by the time I graduated. So when I was graduated, it took me a while before I could walk still. And once I could learn how to walk, I think I was still in crutches actually when I hobbled up to the local newspaper and said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never been a writer before, not in high school, nothing. But I like to write, and I have this stuff I've written. I have this 250-page organic chemistry report. Does that count for something, please? And so basically, they took the novel that I wrote, read it, looked at my poetry collections, all this other stuff that I gave them, and they said, well, it looks like you know the basics of writing. Let's give you a chance. And so they did. And luckily, I wound up breaking open a scandal. I forced a CEO to retire. It spurred statewide investigation because there was some very bad things going on, but that's what journalism is about, is finding out the bad things that are going on and correcting them. And so that basically solidified my place in journalism. And if I would have gone on my original track, I probably would have gone into the Army, as I said, and I had already looked into that. I had already done the testing. I had already had my whole career path planned out through the military. I was supposed to learn Russian and Arabic and go to California and study. And if I would have gone that path, my training would have been up August 31st, 2001. Guess what happened? Not even 2 weeks later. Yeah, September 11th. So had I gone that path, I literally probably would have been one of the first females sent over. And I don't know about y'all, but that's not really my top 10 places to visit list. I'm sure it's cool and it has cool things, don't get me wrong. But as a female, I don't know, it seemed a little scary. Obviously somebody else had other plans for me. So like I said, I had my cliff diving accident, and at the time, when you're sitting in the hospital and you feel numb, if anything, you're convulsing, you can't move anything, you have itches, you can't scratch. It was literally like that Kill Bill movie. I literally sat there in the hospital and said, wiggle my big toe. All right, now wiggle my foot. Now wiggle my ankle. Now wiggle my leg. And I had to restart all of that, learning how to walk again. And like I said, I wrote my first novel when I was in a wheelchair, and it basically, I've always liked writing. And for me, it was something that was near and dear to my heart. It was something I wanted to do, so the newspaper just seemed like the logical step for me. Luckily, it worked out. But the bottom line is life throws you unexpected curveballs. And because I wound up going into journalism, I also got into entertainment journalism. And life threw me a few more unexpected curveballs. Specifically, I got the opportunity to tour in Ozfest back in 2002 with Rob Zombie. He got me on stage, basically got me the job offer. And, so I toured with Rob Zombie, System of a Down. the dudes from Pantera, when they were playing with Down, Ozzy Osbourne, so many other people. It was a really, really, really cool opportunity. And in hindsight, when I was in the hospital bed, I had no idea that opportunity was going to come to me. If somebody would have told me that I would be touring an Ozfest, I would have called them a liar. What are you talking about? No way. But it happened that way. So just letting you know, sometimes life throws you unexpected curveballs. In hindsight, if I had to choose between Afghanistan and Ozzy, I'm sorry, I'd take Ozzy every freaking time. Nothing against Afghanistan. I'm sure it has some cool things, but Ozfest was pretty awesome. That actually got me into doing some other things. I moved to New Orleans afterwards. Well, Key West and then New Orleans. And New Orleans, I got into some films activities. There's this little dude named Lil Wayne. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Wound up in one of his music videos. Wound up working for Disney, Universal, and IMAX in some films. And got all kinds of opportunities. I wrote my first screenplay when I was in New Orleans. I wrote a trilogy of screenplays when I was in New Orleans. And I was very productive. Like I said, as of now, I have more than 100 books published. A lot of them I've done my own, but they're definitely around. I've done so many different newspapers and magazines throughout the globe. Literally, I have covered things like the North Sea Jazz Festival in Rotterdam. I've covered the Heineken Regatta in St. Martin. I've gone and, like when I went to Johns Hopkins, I studied a semester abroad in Florence, Italy, or as they say there, Firenze. So I've had a lot of nice opportunities, and I will, over the course of these video lectures, probably share all kinds of stories and whatnot from my adventures on the road. Coming up, we will have a video on interview techniques where I will talk about some of my experiences interviewing people in journalism and other things. And we look forward to you joining us. So do me a favor, down below, tell me a little bit about you. What are your goals and dreams? Do you have any places that you like to travel to? I love to travel, so if you have any travel stories, I love hearing that. Music, entertainment stories, love it. I've covered everything from country USA in Wisconsin to rap stars to almost every genre I've covered at this point. So everything from symphony to you name it. So if you have any stories of stuff that you've done, tell me about it. I'd love to hear about it. Tell me below. We look forward to hearing you, and please continue to join us here on The Learning Loop. Again, I'm Marisa Williams. If you have any questions, you can always email me. All right. Thanks again.